live. Ladies and gentlemen, Seahawks fans of all ages, welcome back to the 12 Talk podcast. My name is Josh, and next to me, pointed the right way, there you go, is my co-host Mitch. Mitch, how are you doing? Can I just say, first of all, you smashed that pod last week in my absence. Thank you, and well done.
Thank you very much. That was a nerve-wracking experience, but a first. It was a load of fun, actually. We had Gary on, who's a big fan of the pod. We really enjoyed meeting him. Jonas Meister from the German Seahawkers came on as well, and obviously co-hosted with me. It was really fun. We had a good time. And we were talking about a win, which helps.
It definitely helps. I mean, but big thanks to Gary and Jonas. Like, it was... you weren't talking about a win. You were talking about a Lions game.
Oh, we were talking. Actually, I was just thinking we were talking about a loss. Yeah, we went 3-0, and then it all went wrong, didn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say it went wrong, so they knew you were podding. That's what it was.
Well, maybe that's testament to how much fun we had. If it didn't feel like we were talking about a loss.
I really enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure other people did. For anyone who tunes in regularly, you will see that we have gone full throwback again today, because we get to witness the glory of them again in the game that's coming up against the 49ers. I cannot wait. So today, Mitch and I are going to be, there's no guest, just to put it out there. There's a conflict of schedules, so we're rolling 2 into 1. You've got a review of the Giants game, which will be brief and hopefully not too angry. And then we're going to have a little preview of the 49ers game, things that we want to see and how we feel it might unfold. But we've gone full throwback. We're going to get into this. First of all, before we hit those credits, and let's face it, we all love them. We are the official podcast of the UK Seahawkers, still very proud UK Seahawk members. If you'd like to join, it is £12 for an individual, £20 for a family of 4 at the same address. You get some fantastic goodies, which I'll show you in a minute. You get access to the social events, which is going to be in Glasgow next year. Let us know if you know any good bars in Glasgow that we can all meet up and have a fantastic crack. 10% off at the Pro Shop. You get a chance to win game day field passes. You get access for members-only competitions. And then, as it says on there, you get your goodies. So here we go. Look at those lovely things. You get your wristband. You get your membership card, your throwback patch, and you also get this year an RFD card. But it's always something a little bit funky every single year. And we'd like to give a big shout out as well to our friends at the German Seahawkers. Jonas, who co-hosted with Mitch last week, was absolutely fantastic and is always in our chat. He's a brilliant member of the Discord as well. You can join them for €15 for the year, which is approximately, I've not updated this for conversion rates, £12.68 or $16.06. Postage may apply if you're outside of Germany, but they're a fantastic group of guys. Their website, germanseahawkers.com, full of fantastic articles as well. Use Google Chrome or whatever other browser. They are available. Hit translate and you are away. But Mitch, should we get into it? Should we hit that theme music?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. There we go, back in it. Still love that theme music. Thanks very much to Slim Genix. You can check him out on SoundCloud. But Mitch, we are here today to first of all talk about the pain point. Shall we rip it off like a band-aid and just get it over with?
Yes.
Have a little rant and we'll go through the score, the box score, and then usually for those that might be new to the podcast, we do 12 talking points. We're not going to do that today. Because we actually want to cover a little bit of the 49ers game as well, because at the moment it is 5 minutes past 8 in the UK PM. So Mitch and I want to get a little bit of sleep before we get to shout and scream at our TVs. For me, very quietly, because I have a 4-year-old asleep. But here we go. So the Seahawks fell 20 points to 29 against the New York Giants. A game that I think you and I both predicted preseason we'd win. And I think Las Vegas had all the odds in our favor as well. Let's do the box score quickly. So, first quarter went really, really well. Scoring wise, we almost put points on the board with that Rayshon Jenkins 102-yard fumble return, which I was genuinely watching, and members of our Discord were talking about, thinking they're in here. They've got to be in, because the drive that they went on, they should have scored. There was no justice in the world for us to get that. But fair play to Jenkins for getting there, taking the ball and skipping into the end zone. That was one of my favourite parts of the game, because there weren't many more.
Yes.
Second quarter, the tables turned, so we only put 3 on the board. Giants put on 10, so you had a touchdown from Wan'Dale Robinson, which was the extra point was kicked. Then you had Greg Joseph with a field goal, Jason Myers with a field goal for us. Third quarter, another 3 for us and 10 for the Giants, and that was that Darius Slayton touchdown, which was a nice slant route where he just ran straight away from Woolen. And I think it was at that point we all kind of realised that Woolen may be nursing an injury. Then we had the field goal from Myers and there the field goal from Joseph, and the fourth quarter we got a touchdown from JSN, which was by the skin of Gino's teeth, where he literally threw it out of a sack to a wide open JSN in the middle of the end zone. There was a field goal from Joseph, and then there was the blocked field goal return for a touchdown from Bryce Ford Wheaton. Before we do that, big shout out to our charity partner, the Robbing Cancer Trust. I'll give you a bit more information on them very shortly, but the RCT are currently running the Big Ballsy Run. Now, this is a charity event where you can pick what distance you want to run. You can pick 10, 50, 100K, and all you need to do, there is a one-off entry fee. If you smash out your target, you will get one of these lovely custom medals. You can scan the QR code here, take you straight to the website where you can sign up. It's £20 for a UK entry, 26 for a European entry, or 28 anywhere else in the world. Before we go any further, let's just hear about the RCT, and then we'll get back into our talking points.
I want to take a minute just to introduce you our charity partner for the pod, the Robbing Cancer Trust. The Robbing Cancer Trust is the UK's germ cell cancer community. For those who don't know what germ cell cancer is, that is testicular and ovarian cancer, and the RCT was set up following the family tragedy, which sadly saw them lose their son and brother to germ cell cancer. Germ cell cancer is something that can affect anyone at any time, and the RCT, Robbing Cancer Trust, do a fantastic job creating awareness through the various campaigns like Talking Bollocks and Not Overreacting. If you or a member of your family have been affected or think you may be affected by it, please visit their website, therobbingcancertrust.org, to see how you can spot the signs, how you can manage it, and become part of the community. And if you'd like to help fundraise or give anything to them, by all means, that would be absolutely fantastic.
There you go. Cut myself off there as well. But yeah, the Big Ballsy Run. If you want to win a fantastic medal shaped like a pair of good old testes, get yourself in there.
Tattooed testes as well. I mean, someone is big and ballsy if they're getting their sack tattooed. I'm impressed.
I would not put it past Toby, the chairman, if I'm very honest. But yeah, let's get into this. So our talking points. Mitch,
yeah,
you can start, mate, because there's a few. Obviously, we've banded a lot around our Discord, and Mitch and I have messaged about it, and everyone's got their opinions. So go for it. Give us one, mate.
Yeah, I think this was the game I found the most tedious since the Baltimore game.
Give us one, mate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry. Feedback.
That was okay. Weird. Yeah, I think it was the most frustrating game I've watched since the Baltimore game, where we only scored the 3 points. And I think the similarities there are quite stark, because in that game, if you recall, we had to abandon the run. The pass was really predictable. We couldn't find anything really to complete pass wise, and it was just constant 3 and outs, and the offense didn't get going. I appreciate it was slightly different reasons for it, but it basically felt like we were being shut down. When Baltimore did it, it was a great defensive head coach. It was a really sort of bedded in unit that knew exactly what their game was, and we didn't cope. That is not what the Giants are. The Giants, we just didn't have answers for what they did, and it's not because it's a really talented unit or because it's really well coached. We just didn't have a good enough game plan, or we were underprepared for what we were going to face. The other thing I wanted to mention as well with this, I will give you a chance to come back and talk as we are going to talk on this podcast, obviously. The other thing I thought was a little bit discouraging was what Leonard Williams has been talking about with players becoming disheartened, not believing that we could complete that comeback, having arguments on the sideline about not having a never say die attitude, which is so intrinsic with the Seahawks over the years. So the two things, I think the coaching felt underprepared and made the Giants look really good, and I think also the attitude from some of the new players that aren't part of the Seahawks culture of old, perhaps didn't have that fight in them. Those are my two real big takeaways from that.
Yeah, I think the lack of game plan. We'll address that first. I think it was defensively. I just don't think we were prepared for Tracy Jr. to actually be a good running back, or whether he's a good running back always made him look good. To be seen, I think we gave them far too many drives. Yeah, yes, Bryce. It felt like a Pete Carroll era game. It did. We got run all over, and it was disheartening for us to watch as well, having been bigged up. I mean, before I go down this rabbit hole, I just want to say I think we all need to temper our expectations with this as well, because this is a new scheme and a new coaching group that's trying to bed it all in. If we are expecting to go to the Super Bowl in the first season, I might get a lot of heat for this, but Seahawks fans, if that's your expectation, you're deluded. Speaking as a sports coach, and Bryce, who's obviously watching as well, as another sports coach, you can't turn something around instantly. It is physically impossible. If you are instilling new game plans, schemes, personnel, coaching practices, never going to happen. So this was a game that I think highlighted. I mean, you look at the Lions game, it was actually it was a loss that gave us hope. But this game, like Bryce said, it was like watching a Pete Carroll era game those last 2 years where couldn't stop the run. We just didn't seem to have a good game plan. Gary's right there by saying patience. You are right, Gary. That's exactly what we need. For all Seahawks fans, I'll go on, Mitch. You can hit Gary's comment.
I wanted to do it.
Sorry, you can. You do them. It's fine. But yeah, patience is what we all need now. This is going to be a steep learning curve for us and all the players. But I just think we just need to bear with it, because otherwise it's going to be very much a pain point for all of us. So that, I think the fact that we had no real plan in defense, because I don't think we gave them enough respect. Also, our offensive plan, I'll put this up on our X. I've got to give kudos to Ryan Grubb. He took full ownership of that. And it wasn't one of those where he could have palmed it off going, oh, yeah, it just wasn't great. No, he said, that was on me. He wanted to get Geno going early, which I understand. The first 2 throws was to DK, and he wants to use DK. Not a problem with that. But you need to mix in the run game. When you've got a weapon like K9, when you've got a second running back, Charbonnet, who proved that he can do the job as well, you need to mix that in. You need to mix up outside runs, inside runs, try and draw the defense closer to the line of scrimmage to fill that box, to then open up things at the back. But as it transpired, they were just blanketing our receivers. So there was zero game plan from that point of view. And I think that was a big sort of knock to Grubb. But I think he's actually taken that as a learning situation.
Yeah.
What we need.
Yeah, I think it was good. It was good that he shouldered some blame, because I think when you watch the game, it didn't look like what we'd seen from him in previous games. He'd obviously done some things different, either in his approach, his preparation, or with just the game plan in general. There was something there that he needed to front up for, and he did. So kudos to him. However, bringing back the reference to Pete Carroll again, Pete Carroll used to take a lot of flack for the players and not hold them accountable publicly. We've seen a lot of that from Mike Mack. I think Ryan Grubb possibly he wants to be careful not to do what Pete did and just completely shelter players. They do need a bit of to take a little bit of responsibility. However, if he wants to take that flack now and allow the players to sort of, I mean, it's a short week, right? If you start being too negative with the players and then need to build them back up and get them ready for the next game, you don't want to have 4 days to do it in, 5 days to do it in. So maybe he was just trying to get it out of the way and move on.
Yeah, there's one thing that I really like at the moment about Mike Mack is showing personality, showing the type of person he is. But when these interviews are happening and everyone's trying to address past failures and whatnot, he is just saying, "That's done. We move on," and he moves on into the very next thing. He's like, "We're focusing on the next game," which is brilliant. I mean, as a coaching staff, obviously, as an ex-player, you'll always think about that game that you've just lost, that you shouldn't have lost. But as a coaching staff, it's your job to go, right, we take that, we learn. He very nearly uttered something that it's been in my coaching mantra for ages, which is you lose, you learn. You learn what you did wrong, you learn what you need to improve on, you learn more about your players and your team moving forward. And I think that's a fantastic philosophy to have. And this is where obviously Gary said it, he said it in the last pod. And I think we've all been saying it. Some corners of Seahawks social media have been calling for the whole coaching team's head, which is quite frankly ridiculous. I think it's just patience, let it bed in, and bear in mind as well, this is the first season of Mike Mack having this team, and he will, at the end of the season, he'll be able to say, I keep that player, I don't keep that player, I need someone else here, we need this, we need this. So, you know what, I can deal with it. I'm going to try and stay as positive as possible because it is a first-year head coach with a brand new coaching staff.
Yeah, Bryce made a comment. There we go. I was looking for it. This one. That sings to your point, and I think my point would be, if you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they had lots of key injuries in the last 2 seasons at corner, at safety, lots of different positions, and certain players, they may not have been considered starting players, but at least as backups, they were good scheme fits for what Mike Mack. He knew I've mentioned before the term toolbox when I've talked about the free agent acquisitions and things. I feel like we've taken players to plug in and do what he needs to have a functional defense for his scheme. However, some of the players we picked up in free agency had pretty sketchy injury histories. And if there's one thing that's been consistent so far this year, it's the fact that we don't have the same defense trotting out from game to game, whether it's the D line with a big hole in the middle, like a yawning hippo, just in the middle of that defense, it's just like gap. And then also in the secondary, corners getting injured, DBs as well, Julian Love getting banged up, linebacker, Baker's either, in and firing on all cylinders or playing half the game or missing altogether, which is just exactly what he's been at Miami. Yeah. So we've tooled, but we've tooled for a first team based on experienced vets with dodgy injury histories. So it needs to be backed up by a deep draft class of scheme fits, so that at least when someone steps up, they are the right mold of player. Mike Mack knows what positions to put him in within that scheme. And you saw it loads with Baltimore. They had loads and loads of players that ended up being like, free agent now looking Like they hit free agency players like Geno Stone and Madubuike and players like that who became stars in this league and got paid, but they were just good fits for that team that were 6th round picks, undrafted free agents and things. Give Mike Mack a few years to build that squad and depth, not necessarily to be more talented, because I think we've got a really talented squad. It just needs to be fit for purpose. He needs to have a couple of hammers, a couple of spanners. There's no point in having one spanner. Like, do you know what I mean? He needs the full set. Give him the set.
And this is all. It's always. I agree. It's always a thing when you inherit a team. The team's been coached a certain way. There may not be the players that will fit what your philosophy and what you want to do. And this is kind of what Mike Mack's got at the moment. He's got a fantastic sort of nucleus of players, some young talent there. Some of them only paying soon, but that's by the by. But I think, like you said, a couple of years with solid draft, free agency, maybe a couple of trades, I think he will be rolling. And I think everyone just needs to appreciate that this is his first time as a head coach with a team he's inherited, not that he's built to play the way he wants, that he's inherited. So let's just temper expectations. Everyone just chill the F out. Stop calling for people's heads. Stop calling for these random emergency trades that don't need to happen. Geno is still a fine quarterback. DK is a weapon. Ignore the fumbles, because let's face it, both of them have been him fighting for yards, which I'd rather have than him just taking it and hitting the deck. Because if you have someone who's that big, that strong, that fast, I want them to fight for extra yards. As a coach, I'd be coming down on him more if he didn't. Someone like Tyler Lockett hitting the deck straight away, I can understand that, but even he started getting a bit between his teeth. So that's kind of where we're at. Thank you, everyone, by the way, for posting your comments. We will get to them at the end because there are some fantastic ones here. So we'll go back to this, and I know there's going to be more when we talk about 49ers as well. One of my big queries, really, you said about the middle of the D line. Where are the sacks?
Well, Jaron Reed's had two in 2 weeks, right? Draymond Jones has had one, but I think his one, he rushed from outside, he's either stunted inside or coming off the edge. I can't remember if that actually came, because he's moving around. It's hard to know, but he's had one. Leonard Williams had 2 and 2.5, I think, in the first 2 weeks. And I think, these are stats off the top of my noggin here, so if I'm wrong, don't lynch me. And then Byron Murphy had 1.5 sack, right, or half a sack.
So if we are looking at sacks, here we go. Total sacks. So Hall has got 5, Maffei's got 3, Dodson's got 2, Reed's got 2, Jones has actually got 2. Leonard Williams has 1.5 because he had that half sack with Murphy.
Shared with Murphy, yeah.
Baker has got 1, and Byron Murphy's only got half.
There you go. Yeah. So,
the pressure rate's there. I mean, I'll just put this up from True Drew here. We're getting pressure at a high rate, but the sacks aren't following. Completely agree with that, mate. We are pressuring, and that is really good to see because it's such a nice change of pace. But there's no finish, and I don't know if that's because we're focusing too much on the pressure in the quarterback and not finishing the job, or they're getting the ball away too quick because there's space in coverage or what. You're right, True Drew. Murphy has been out, but still, I'm still starting to wonder where they're going to come from. Boye and Hall, hopefully. We know that Chen has just been put on IR. So that's at least another 4 weeks where we've not got him. But they say he might be good to go towards the end of the season.
The edge and the interior, they are their own complementary football. Mm-hmm. If you're stout on the edge and you create genuine pressure up the middle, everyone feasts. if the pressure comes from the edge and the other edge isn't set, and the quarterback, can spill out to the side without walking into a Maffei coming at him full speed, that speaks to how much we've missed Nwosu, honestly. Because when Nwosu was on the one side, it is locked down. Yeah. And then when Maffei was there, the other side mopping up, that was perfect. If with the change in personnel constantly game to game on the interior and on the edge, it hasn't looked. It's harder to get the end product, basically, because the quarterback can evade. And I think some of the quarterbacks we've played have also been quite good at avoiding the sacks. Jacoby Brissett was really good at just being an absolute wall. He needed multiple players to pull him down every time. He was really stout. And then Nix is shifty as well. The only quarterback we've had that was just a statue in the pocket was the fella who played for the Dolphins.
Which one? Skylar Thompson or
Scarlett? Well, both. I think both of them got absolutely wrecked. So yeah, I think that's probably a big part of it. Set the edge and give the quarterback nowhere to escape, and then the pressure comes up the middle, and then you're either throwing it away or you're eating the turf. I
just want to see more Mike Morris, if I'm honest. That's where I see.
Yeah, he's gone missing. This was a real opportunity, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think they've hedged a lot on Draymond, and I'm still not sold. I'm really not. I understand he's got that multiplicity where he can shift him inside, he can go outside, he can stunt on the inside. Absolutely fine. But for someone getting paid the money he does, I expect him to lock down his side of the D-line. I expect him to be getting more pressure, more sacks. I expect his name to be called on the majority of defensive plays. And it's not happening.
Yeah. I think last year there was an element of benefit of the doubt with some people because it wasn't a good defensive scheme. It wasn't a good, it wasn't a good system for that D-line. Now his only excuse is the fact that he's getting moved around so much because of the injuries to the personnel. But a big part of his appeal is that versatility with being able to be moved around. So if you come in and get paid like that, and you're going to be a defensive weapon rather than giving you a defined role, that cannot be used as an excuse. You need to be able to excel and do a job wherever you're put. And I feel like we get varying amounts of output from him in different roles, and that's a worry because he's not proper starting caliber cover for anyone. If anything, he does as a liability when he covers for someone. Because I'd rather have someone who is the next man along in that position get the opportunity rather than him just get moved in. I'd
rather have Mike Morris there. I really would. I think he's played under Mike Mack. Mike Mack helped turn into a dominant force at Michigan. He knows he knows the scheme there or thereabouts. He's a giant of a man. He's got versatility. He's got the speed. He'll drop into coverage and do a good job, as we saw in preseason. I think it's at some point you have to bite the bullet and just say, look, Draymond, we're paying you a lot of money, but we're not getting the production we expect. Now you're going to have to be second string. Mike's going to have to come in your position, and you're either going to take it one or two ways. You're going to spit your dummy out and say, you paid me all this money to do a job, in which case your tail will go in between your legs and you'll just become an awful teammate. Or you go, you're right, I haven't produced. I'm not producing to the caliber of someone being paid the money I'm being paid. I need to get better. And then a couple of weeks out, he could come back and explode. That's how, from a coach's point of view, they're the honest conversations I used to have. It doesn't matter if it's a star player, if they're underperforming, you have to tell them that and say, look, this person's training better, and when they hit the field, they're playing better. I can't not pick them. They have to be on that field. And I think that's kind of where it's at the moment.
I'll finish with one comment on this situation, right? And I think with the way the salary cap is in the NFL, when you start budgeting, where you're going to be spending money, you can allow yourself a luxury player here and there. And the Seahawks have done that for the last few years at safety. And it's been a horrific. I mean, the decision itself wasn't terrible. It was questioned, but because of the injuries, it became very bad. This decision to put a luxury player on a big contract there that isn't really a starting caliber player in any one of the positions he's playing might go down as a worse decision if he stifles the opportunities for first round picks. And I feel like if you gave me his money and said, go put that money somewhere on this team, it's not going defensive line. I might go pick up Reddick. I might go pick up, do you know what I mean? Get an actual genuine blue chip player in a position with that luxury money. What we've done with our luxury money for the last 5-6 years has not been effective.
It's not.
That's where I stand on it.
I'm not going to add anything else to that. Anyone can comment on the YouTube, on our X, whatever you want to do, you do it. And I think you'll probably agree with Mitch there. Before we move on to the 49ers very quickly, can we just address the fact that this has been gone over by multiple podcasters? Our good friend Dan Viennes has gone through it as well as Clinton and the guys at the Seahawks pod. We managed to make Daniel Jones look like a viable option at quarterback. That should never be done, because I think it's well established now that he's not. And if you're a Giants fan watching this, sorry, personal opinion, and unfortunately, stats don't lie. One stat that baffled me was, considering how much we wanted to use DK, Grubb wants to use him as much as possible. Do you know how many receiving yards he got?
DK?
I'll put it this way. He was third in the team in receiving yards.
I'm going to say less than 40. I haven't looked.
Ooh, 55.
Oh, okay.
Do you know who was above him?
AJ Barner?
No.
He had two or three, didn't he? Noah Fant?
No.
In receptions, right?
So I'll go, as you mentioned Barner, we'll go up from Barner. So it was Barner with 13. So sorry, I've got my mic in the way of my monitor. One reception for 13 yards, and it was Zach Charbonnet, 3 receptions for 19, Noah Fant, 3 for 24, JSN, 4 for 31, obviously the TD.
Jake Bobo.
Nope. Then it was DK Metcalf with 4 receptions for 55 yards. He was at number 3. Number 2, Ken Walker, 7 receptions for 57. And at number 1, the old stalwart, Tyler Lockett, 4 receptions for 75 yards. Now, okay. I think that I'll leave that there just to highlight how ineffective the passing game was, and the fact we know that the running game wasn't there, which hopefully we'll see tonight. I don't know if the photo I saw today of Mike Mack wearing a throwback hat, I just said "run the damn ball." If that is an official hat, I want one.
Me too.
Or someone's doctored it. If people can tell me if that's a real hat and if it's available, let me know, because I will pay import for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more we want to go over that Giants game, because I'm getting PTSD from it. Move on. Well, before we move on, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, and then we will move on to looking forward to the 49ers.
Let's give a big shout out to our sponsor, Wraith Energy. Wraith is a sugar-free energy drink that comes in these handy-dandy little sachets that you've not got to take in a huge can away with you. Simply mix it with half a litre of water, give it a good shake, and you are ready to go. It is sugar-free. It has all the benefits of pretty much every energy drink you'll have, apart from the fact it doesn't cost you a fortune, and they're very, very honest with what they have in there. You have taurine, caffeine, multiple vitamins, no sugar. And for any of you who try sugar-free energy drinks, usually you'll know they're not the best. Wraith, however, I have tried the majority of the flavors now, and I love every single one. If you want to try Wraith, go to wraithenergy.com, and when you're going to check out, use code 12TALK for 10% off. You'll thank us later. Go Hawks.
There you go. Wraith Energy. Love having that as a sponsor. I've got my new bottle, Mitch. Where's yours? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is my day-to-day water bottle now. It fits perfectly in my little drink slot in my car. But yeah, I've there's just water in that at the moment because I'm going to try and get some sleep before the game. But I will probably have one just so I wake up, or if not, when I wake up after the game because of work tomorrow. But if you want to try Wraith, it's down there on the ticker. Go to their website, use code 12talk at checkout. You get 10% off your order, regardless of what it is. I've actually just got myself a new like the 30 sachet taster packet again because I like a bit of variation. And some of those are mwah. Anyway, shall we look forward to the 49ers?
I'm not sure if looking forward is the right term. I'm a little bit apprehensive, but I actually saying that I feel like it's a really good time to play them. It's far closer to 50-50 for me than a lot of recent matchups with them.
Yeah,
I think Christian McCaffrey's a big loss. They've got plenty of D-line injuries, haven't they? I think as well. So all in all, I think we've got a decent chance to get a good win there. Also, their record this year has been really patchy. So
yeah, it really has.
Yeah.
I am on the same sort of train as you. I think the 49ers will be coming into this game as the big one for them to start the season. It's division rivalry. They are our most hated rivals, and they know that. They're coming into our house. I think they're going to come with all guns blazing, but some of those big guns are not there. Like, they've still got players. Obviously, Brock Purdy's still there. Fred Warner's still in. Who else have you got there? Ayuk, Debo, still available. Hufanga missing as well. Thanks to Bryce for letting us know that, which is a big loss for them because that's going to give some more room for JSM. If we can get the game plan right, running the ball to create that space, get K9 going, give Gino some time, play action, I am quietly optimistic. I don't want to wake up at like 1 o'clock in the morning UK time to watch the game, to then go to bed at 4 again and cry myself to sleep.
What you should do is get into cricket and then watch England and Pakistan that kicks off at about 5.
Yeah, but
that's what you want to do, and then you don't have to go to bed. I'm not.
I'd rather not. Yeah, cricket was one of those. As a true Englishman, played it, tried to watch it, would rather watch paint dry.
It's pretty much the same process.
There you go. But yeah, so the 49ers, Mitch, give me a couple of things that you really want to see in this game. And obviously, if anyone in the chat wants to has anything that they want to see that we don't mention, by all means, let us know and we'll pop it up.
Yeah, it's been mentioned in the chat actually in regards to Hufanga, but I'd like to see JSN get established as well as the run game over the middle, because if you look back to the beginning of the season, people were saying, oh, JSN, it's a breakout year for him. He's getting used early and often in games. Where's that gone?
Yeah, where?
And also, our offense looks so much better. Quick completions, a bit of yak, running the ball, at a good ratio to the pass. Everything seemed to click when we did. It might be the case that it gets stuffed early against the 49ers, but it will ease up and it will get, you will find a way. So don't give up on the run and establish JSN over the middle. I think that's the first thing I want to see. And I think that'll be popular with people. And then I want to see the ball spread around a little bit, equal sort of number of targets to Lockett and DK, because I think so far it's almost been like, now you're wide receiver 1 and now you're wide receiver 1. Like, can we just throw it to the person, to the person with the best opportunity to actually get us a first down or a touchdown? Like, I feel like there's been like alternating favoritism between the two, or game plans set for one of them to have a few more targets. Can we just see what we're being given?
Yeah.
I
agree. I think, yeah, so the The run, I just think mixing it up. I've just realised as well by closing down one window, I've got a spooky blue aura about me. So I think establishing that run game early with a mixture, I've said it before, inside-outside runs using K9 and Charbonnet to their fullest effect would be a fantastic option for us. I'd love to see sets with both of them in the backfield after we've established a run game. So a defensive line then has to guess which one's going to get it and how they're going to adjust. But that's just me. As an offensive coordinator, I'd let Bryce tell me why that'd be wrong. But I think, establish JSM, find the right matchup to pick on, because the Giants picked on Trey Brown last week because they knew the matchup wasn't there. He wasn't having a great game. Hopefully he's going to come back all guns blazing. But yeah, that's what I'd love to see. I'd just love to see just spread the ball around, establish a run game, let Geno use the quick game as well, because there was some, I can't remember what pod it was the other day, where they were talking about the no huddle, getting to the line, having to look to the sideline for the call. Now, that in effect, fine, but if Geno's running to the line, if he looks to the sideline, he's not going to see Grubb anyway because Grubb's up in the box. So Grubb's already given him the calls for him to get to the line, to adjust, to make the plays as quickly as possible. So we're not running down this clock like we have been doing under the Pete Carroll era. I would love to see more of the quick game and really put them under pressure. That I would genuinely be so happy if I saw that. Just saw a lot of tempo, them not knowing what they were doing, and keeping Geno out of trouble. I think Bryce said, I put it up here, I hope Haynes can have a good game and finally take the guard spot. Yeah, Bradford, I think, is a mauler in the run game, but he's just been exposed far too often this year, which is unfortunate. And Tomlinson hasn't been much better, if I'm honest. Here we go. So this is where you've got an OC in the chat. Bryce again. When Geno looks at the sideline, is to see if they're making a change based on what the defense has called.
Yeah, I was gonna comment on this. So it's been said, and it should be this way, but it should be obvious, but it's been said that Grubb calls, Geno gets to the line, they do their pre-snap movements, they make their reads. Geno has autonomy on what gets called at the line based on that. However, if something's coming from the sideline as well, that'll be why they're looking over there. But I think the best games Geno's had this year have been because of that, getting to the line early, seeing what's being given to him. Yeah, and then if he's happy with if he's happy with the play, beating what they're being offered, they just go and try and catch them hot on their heels. So that's worked so well when we got that going, and I hope we can establish that as well. I think. Do you think Geno's confidence has been knocked slightly from the level it got to after the first few games?
There you go. True sports. I don't think Geno's got the time to go through his progressions. You know what? I think it might have been just he's a very confident person. You have to be to have gone through all the adversity he's gone through and really grip the starting job and do a good job. Let's be honest. His completion percentage, the yards he's actually making intelligent runs as well. I think the confidence for him will be knocked with the lack of game plan. I think against the Giants would have knocked it because he saw so much pressure because he was being asked to throw the ball over 40 times. That's going to knock anyone's confidence. If it's like, right, you're relying on me to do all this, but I physically can't because I don't have the help to do it. You are going to be sat there thinking, what else do you expect me to do? What else is there? I think there's been some very honest conversations this week between the coaching staff, and I'd hope that would involve the players to say, we cannot do that again. We go into every game by game, as they say, they scheme and they sort of put their game plan around the team they're playing, but you need to establish the run. We keep saying it, run the damn ball, and then going from there. I think it's just a matter of build Geno's confidence back up in the play calling and what he can do, rather than having to run for his life.
Yeah,
I'm just optimistic about the fact I don't think he's doesn't seem like someone who'll waver after a couple of losses.
He's come through an awful lot in his career, right? As you say, like he's come through an awful lot. We've never seen Gino have a consistent season. We've seen magic from him. We've seen things we didn't think he had. We've seen levels of composure at times, which looked like a guy that had seen far more snaps in the league than he has. So he always finds a way to surprise. But what doesn't surprise me year on year is when he starts well in the year and finishes badly, or starts badly and finishes strongly. We've never seen a level of consistency from Gino. And already inside 5 games, 3-2. Inside 5 games, we've seen some very, very high level stuff from Gino. And Bryce has made the point that the completions are still there. And possibly if he's inconsistent now, it's not necessarily his performance. It's more so the line and the play calling. I think the play calling has started to become more of a problem actually than the line itself.
Yeah.
But whether or not the play calling is being altered and the game plan's being altered because of the line, it's chicken and egg situation maybe with that. I don't know, but God, I don't know.
Let's go. So 2 comments just came in. All right. So True Drew and Gary. I don't think Gino's the issue on that though. The offensive line has more to do with it from True Drew. And then Gary, Gino seemed frustrated in the Lions game and did not command the offense as he had in previous games. Being asked to throw over 40 times with 0 run game is going to frustrate you. Being asked to throw 40 times behind a porous O-line, which is giving you so much pressure, is going to affect you as well. That's like say getting a rugby player that I'm coaching, like back coaching the men now, and being, you are the smallest player on this pitch. I want you to go and run into all those big boys constantly. Now, you're not getting any help, or the only other help you're going to get is the other really tiny winger that's with you. And then keep doing it. And then by the end of the game, I'm going to throw you the ball and see if you can actually do stuff. Because you'll be like, I am exhausted. I physically can't do this. Mentally, I'm gone. I've been hit so many times. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder to see where I'm getting hit next, which is what Gino's probably doing. Which then, even though he's looking at his reads, he's going to have the peripheral vision for a quarterback has to be second to none, because looking through his reads, also looking at the rush, whether that's coming down the middle or on the edge, it's too much for a person to bear. And this is where I don't want people to start saying Gino's bad, because I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He's genuinely not, but you can only do so much with what you're being given.
Yeah, I do rate Gino. I'm calling for consistency from him, but actually, when I look back at it, his completion percentages, his yards per season, his yards per game in some games, his quarterback rating, the amount of touchdowns that do you know what? He has been remarkably consistent. I think it's just because we had Russell Wilson, who found a way in so many games and always believed we could win games. On the pitch, his persona was always superb. Interviews and stuff, very much an acquired
Less said about that, the better.
But I think he found a way to get levels out of the team as well as himself. I think the things around Gino, the support structure, the play calling, and the offensive line, he's not overcoming those issues as well as Russ used to. And I think maybe that's just me expecting more. I'm not mad at Gino at all. I'm genuinely not, and I'm not hating on him. I love his story. I love who he is, and I'm actually more pro Gino than rookie quarterback for this stage of our development. But I just see some games coming up where we're really going to need him to bridge the inefficiencies that we have.
See, I look at it the other way. Gino can only play with what he's given. As a coach, as a play caller, and Bryce might be able to attest to this, it is your job to put your players in the best possible position to win. Now, against the Giants, Grubb didn't do that. Grubb did not put Gino in a position to be effective and win a game. Gino had to do it off his own back with bad offensive line play, horrible play calls. Go back to it again. No run game. So all the Giants were doing was looking at how we were lined up and go, well, Walker's not getting the ball. Let's just too high safety it, and then we'll just blanket all their receivers, which then just adds the pressure on Gino from the pass rush. Sexy Dexy gets through to him. He's staring down his grill all the time. It's that is where, when I listened, because I was angry at Grubb, when I listened to Grubb's press conference, it strikes me that he's had a very honest conversation with Mike Mack. Mike Mack, if he's wearing that hat, if it's real, is sending a very clear message. And Grubb, I think we've said it on every single pod, he comes out in his first half wanting to sling the ball, and that's not going to be effective. You need a good balance. I think if Grubb now realizes it's not college football, he can't just sling the rock around all the time. You need to establish various game plans. It will give Gino time. He won't have people breathing down his neck. Don't forget the defense couldn't get off the field. That's true. It isn't all the offense. You're right, Drew. That was, another bone of contention. But I think we'll go on to the defense in a minute. But I think that's where it needs to come from. I think Grubb needs to, if he's up in that box, he needs to be assessing what's happening. He also needs to be talking to Mike Mack as a defensive guru and say, look, I'm seeing this as a defensive coach. What are you seeing? And what would you hate to come against in this situation? Because every team's got a defensive tendency. If you look at them and say they're playing too high safety, Mike Mack, what would you hate to see if you had a too high safety? And he said, I want this. These plays would terrify me because there'd be so many gaps in our coverage. Cool. That's what I want to see. I want to see Grubb call a better game and give Gino the ability to shine.
Well, Gino, the final point I'll make on this, Gino does have that autonomy at the line to make alterations. He can make an alteration to hand the ball to Ken. If he wants to give K9 a bit more ball, that's one thing. But if what he sees he doesn't like, he's got. And even though you're not set up necessarily with the right personnel for most of K9's running plays, K9 can make something out of nothing. So there is the option, and maybe going full circle here, maybe part of the reason why we saw the ball thrown to K9 so many times in that game was that Gino didn't like what he was going to get matchup wise with his wide receivers or concept wise, and slinging the ball out wide to K9 or a quick completion or a check down to K9 and hoping for some yak. Maybe that was Gino's adjustment. Maybe that was part of that. But
again, I'll just sort of hark back to if Grubb's calling a game and he's giving Gino 2 calls, it is on Grubb to make sure that those calls give enough variation to give Gino the option to make a significant play, or at least a safe play, which is a dump off pass. I'm happy with a dump off if we're getting 4 yards every time, marching the ball upfield, as long as there's a sprinkling of some big runs in there. Fine with that. But anyway, less about my rant on coaching and how Grubb needs to pull his finger out. Defense. We spoke about offense. We know what we want to see. Run the damn ball. Have some variation. Give Gino that time and give him an arsenal of things to do. What do we want to see defensively?
I want to see the ability to get off the field. The last game felt so much like a Ken Norton bend don't break, wait for something to happen kind of approach to defending, which was horrible. The first few weeks of the season, what I really loved was that we were so aggressive. We set the tone. We were in people's faces. The pass rush was coming from everywhere. If you caught the ball, you better be ready to get absolutely annihilated within a yard of where you caught the ball. These things have slipped. First game of the season, we were a sure tackling, team that were eliminating yak, and suddenly, I know there's been some injuries to starting personnel, but that is not what it was at the beginning. I want to see that reestablished. So I want to really smack them in the mouth early, let them know whose house it is, and don't give up easy completions to George Kittle, because we're going to die if Is George Kittle playing?
Good question. Chat, let us know.
He was playing last week.
Chat, if anyone can copy and paste the 49ers injury report, bang it on there. But yeah, I think there needs to be. We do need to have that smash mouth football and defense, just not giving up anything. I will hark back to what I said before: having a cornerback or a secondary who put fear into people because they know that they can't run across the middle, or if they do, if they do catch it, then they're going to get smashed. That's all I want to see. I want to see more. I want to see pressure on Purdy. I don't care how it comes, who it comes from. We can generate pressure, but quarterbacks in the league will soon start to realize that we can generate pressure, but we can't finish. So after a few drives, they'll go, well, they're getting through, but I've still got all this time to make a play, so it doesn't really matter. I want to see us finish defensive plays. I want to see Purdy not know where he's going to go, who's going to throw to, who's open, because we've blanketed everyone. We're putting so much pressure in his face that he's got no option.
Do you know, weirdly, what we really need in the pass rush when we get through and we're about to sack the quarterback? Do you know what we really need?
Go on.
Poise.
Oh.
Honestly, we've heard it so many times, but what we are absolutely not when we beat our man and we're herring through straight at the quarterback. All we need to do is hit him and hold on. But suddenly we've got greasy palms and we can't hold on, or Jacoby Brissett becomes the Roethlisberger. It's what we've seen. There's no poise. The two, actually, I'd say two players who have it in absolute buckets normally, Maffei and Big Cat. Those two are give me that opportunity, and that quarterback is on his back.
Yeah.
But weirdly, we've seen it more from Hall this year. Hall has been the guy who plants quarterbacks. So
it's because Hall has got the violence to finish. He doesn't just beat a tackle. He wants to really show up and embarrass a tackle whilst he gets through to that quarterback. He's not just putting pressure on a tackle with a view of trying to drive him into the quarterback's lap. He's putting pressure on a tackle to drive him into the ground, get past him, and get to the quarterback. I think that's what we've lacked. We're aggressive enough trying to push an O-line, fantastic. We're closing a pocket in, but no one's aggressive enough or violent enough to actually finish. And that's my big thing. So the greasy palms, completely agree with that. But I think it's just the aggression that's needed to finish these plays is what we're lacking at the moment. And if I can see more aggression from our front seven, secondary, I will be happy. That's that. If we can turn a corner, even if we lose this game, but we turn a corner defensively and offensively, I'll be happy because it means that we're building back up. If we win, I'll be ecstatic. But if we lose, but we've actually played well that we did against the Lions, not mad about that. And Gary, speed, aggression, and short tackling is what Gary wants. Me and you, sir, we are on the same wavelength. I'm gutted I missed the pod with Gary. I'm glad Jonas could do it with you, but
Gary's coming back on the bye week anyway, so we're not going to go too long before we see Gary on the pod. One final thing about Hall. He does come off the blind side of a right-handed quarterback. So he does, and he's quick. So he is on you in a flash, and you don't get that time. How many times have we seen Maffei coming in for the sack, and he needs to be aware of batting down a pass as well, and he needs to be more calculated and switched on to how's the quarterback that's looking straight at me reacting, whereas Hall is just, he hasn't seen me yet. Where's my fifth gear? So
there's going to become a thing where someone's going to put like a highlight reel of Hall with the Jaws music in the background. Like the sack he had on Thompson, which effectively stopped his game, where Thompson was just out there on the sideline looking around, and I think everyone saw Hall coming in. If you just had the because even the announcer went, "Oh no!" You know, I'd love that. I'd love if any of our pass rush off the edge has that much violence. I don't care if you're on the blind side, if you're on the open side, whatever. As long as you can finish, I'm happy with that. Do you want to give? I don't want to give it the kiss of death. Do you want to give a prediction, or are we just going to wait and see? If anyone's got a prediction, pop it in the chat. I don't think we'll read them aloud. Or do you want to?
I don't want to call a score. I think we shade this one. I think we're going to bounce back in a big way, and I think we're going to take this one. And I think the Niners are going to say, "Oh, it's injuries. You know, we're depleted." We are also depleted, but I think we're going to take this game.
Gary,
sorry, Gary. We can cut this out, but the live for the sake of the live viewers, it's already happened.
No score, no Drew. Oh my God, that is shading it. I'm not going to put that up. If anyone wants to see True Drews, get in the YouTube chat. This is it. If it all goes wrong now, that's you. You're getting it in the Discord, mate. Speaking of which, before we get on to our Discord member musings. That's right. I've mentioned it a few times. We do have a Discord. There it is. It is a thing of beauty at the moment, which is masterminded by this man here.
That's me.
And it's a fantastic growing community. We've got people that are still joining. We've got some really established members. Bryce is in there as well. So if you've got questions about anything like that, he will happily talk QB offensive play with a lot of people. We've got some really knowledgeable fans from all over the world, and I really need to write down where they're all from. Canada, Germany, Gibraltar, England, USA,
Scotland,
and yeah, basically I'm going to start collecting them like Pokemon. I'm going to go to every single Seahawks chapter. If you are watching and you're from the French Seahawkers, the Irish Seahawkers, anyone else, Latin Seahawkers, get in our Discord. The link is down below, or is our pinned post on our X. And we would love to have you in there. Like I said, it's a great chat that I had by everyone, and it's just really enjoyable. And if you are tuning in as well, thank you very much. Feel free, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can find us on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, Amazon, most places you get your podcasts, really. We're everywhere. I'm not shy about where I get about. But with that, shall we go to one of my favourite parts of this? As we are the 12 Talk podcast, we are a podcast by fans, by 12s, for 12s, with 12s. And our Discord members are huge parts, as people will know from watching and seeing the comments. It's a Discord member musings. Oh, there you go. Until I get some music sorted for it. So before every game and after every game, we ask our members of the Discord to put in a few comments, questions about the game that's just been, or for this one, the game that's about to happen. So the first lot are about the Giants game. Let's get into it, Mitch. Gary, say it again, expectations. Maybe it's a generational thing. You're not that old, Gary. But everyone nowadays wants and expects instant results and gratification. This is where he's going to start going on about social media and everything being at your fingertips. That's rare. Change takes time and patience is needed. This coaching staff, apart from Leslie, are all very inexperienced. I'm confident will improve and grow with time and experience. You can't beat experience and the mistakes and losses you learn the most from. Yes, it was a bad day at the office, and everyone has those. I have faith in this team and coaching staff. I never expected a double-digit win or playoff run this season. Patience will be rewarded. Gary, true words there. That was fantastic. Do you agree, Mitch? Well, obviously not the double-digit wins, because I think we predicted an 11-win team.
Yeah. No, I agree with all of that. I agree with. I think Gary's outlook and my outlook are quite similar, probably with yours as well. I think we're all on the same page. I do. My faith in what we can achieve this year took a bit of a dent, but my faith in the coaching staff to take us back to the promised land is absolutely as strong as ever. I think we we all got a little bit high on the beginning, the success at the beginning of the season, and I did let it carry me away a little bit. But absolutely, 100%, I'm on board with what Gary's saying. I think we all just need to rally behind the team. As I mentioned earlier, I think some of the members of the team, newer members, need to get on board with the never say die attitude, because if we were going to get anything out of that Giants game, we needed a resolute mentality, and I think some people maybe needed to sort that out. But otherwise, completely.
Mitch, you can read this one from Rob from the Let's Talk Seahawks podcast.
Right, so Robbie is saying that the Seahawks called a designed run on 12% of offensive plays, which is obviously really low. Traditionally, an 82% pass, 12% run ratio does not spell success. Given that the defense scored a touchdown and kept the game within a score for most of the game, did the Seahawks play callers panic? I don't know if that's a term that I've never heard before. Or was this the game plan efficiently designed, or dare I say, Waldron?
Don't speak that name on this podcast.
Yeah,
he's
that's
not our problem. He's dead to us now. Panic, I don't think was the word. I think it was more as I said before, Grubb was very pass happy. He obviously has a lot of faith in Geno, which we should all do, and getting the ball to DK. But by doing that so early, you showed your hand too early. And I think panic possibly set in the second half, where we realised that we were going to be chasing the game, and we had to start spraying the ball around, didn't establish the run. But there's a strong theme to this. I should just name the pod: establish the run the damn ball. But yeah, Waldron, I'm not going to lie, I did say the same thing whilst I was doing the in-game commentary on RX. The reluctance to run was very Waldron-esque.
But
hopefully that'll change.
If it was Waldron-esque, we'd have scored on the first drive, and we could have done with a bit of that.
And JSN would have scored.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I struggle to believe we went in planning to play to call running plays 12% of the time. I think if you looked at that going in, if someone said, "Oh, you're going to lose this game and you're going to call 12% of run plays," any offensive coordinator would turn around to you and go, "No, I'm not. Why would I do that?" It doesn't make any sense for that to be the plan. I think from whatever, however the cards fell, we didn't lean on the run to get us back in the game. When actually, when you look at our home run hitting capability, it's mad to not do that. So I don't think it was a plan. I think it's the first game we've had where we've shown an ineptitude to react to what we're being given. We've been complimentary to Grubb when he has turned the game around based on what's being offered up to him. We also need to be critical when he doesn't manage to do that. I think that's only fair. So,
agreed.
Yeah, not the plan.
Right. Who's next? True Drew. Is there anyone that can convince the team that every quarter is the fourth quarter? That may solve some problems. If it was a Pete Carroll team, it definitely would. I think our issues seem to be the second and third quarters. First quarter, we seem to be all right. We go really quiet before and just after halftime. And then that fourth quarter, like Drew said, we seem to pull something out or try and pull something out of the bag. I just think Mitch talked about a complete season from Geno. I want to see a complete game from our team. I think the Lions is possibly offensively the closest we've got. Yeah, that's my thought on that one.
I think if we played every quarter like it was the fourth quarter, we'd run the ball a lot more and we'd have a much better time in possession than we've had. Again, that was shocking against the Giants how little of the ball we actually had. So, yeah, I agree. Let's find hypnotherapy maybe. Maybe that'll work.
Short, sharp slap.
Yeah,
that'll work. And Gary again, see, all this positivity, the honeymoon is over. Reality is now hit. The run defense is still an issue, as is consistency on offense. Do we have confidence the coaching staff can rectify this? Are injuries hurting the defense, or is poor coaching or play, or combination of? Is it poor coaching or play, or combination of?
I still think it's a lack of depth for players that can fit into the scheme, sort of comfortably. I think some of the players that have had the majority of snaps are starting to look fit for purpose in this scheme. Some of the depth pieces are looking out of depth. We're seeing broken plays. Trey Brown's a great example. He's shown stellar cornerback play for years. Suddenly adjusting to this, based off limited snaps, he looked like a fish out of water. So I think the injuries themselves aren't hurting us, but I think we're now looking at players coming in to cover for those injured players who have not played enough snaps in the system, and they are presenting weak spots.
Travis Gibson, there you go. And then we've got Nehemiah Pritchett, who might start at corner today. So let's see how that goes. Bryce, there you go. Did you guys find this game the first time the whole staff was underprepared? With Grubb, I think he and Huff miscalculated the O-line and the type of offense they could run with it. How much hope do you have that they get some of these areas cleaned up for Thursday today? I am extremely hopeful and optimistic. I think it was, first time OC naivety with this. I think he dug himself into a hole that he couldn't dig himself out of, and just, in fact, going back to Robbie's, he kind of hit that panic button in the second half. If we need to put points to the board, let's try and spray this ball around with an O-line that didn't really have it in them to do it.
Yeah, I'm not hopeful. I'm sure that some of the really obvious things that were wrong in that Giants game will be addressed, and our approach to this game will have some of that in mind. So I'm sure that will be the case. How effectively we apply it against a team that have an absolute wealth of talent, that's another question. But I do think that we'll have plucked a lot of stuff out of that first game, from the plays that were called, some of the mistakes and busted coverages, and things. I think some of that might well be patched up slightly, but hard to say really.
It's when anyone who listens to this or watches this who has ever coached a sport, you will go in with what you perceive as the right game plan, but all you can do is coach your team. You can't anticipate, you can to a degree, what the other team's going to do, because they're well coached as well. These are all professional sports people, professional coaches. I think underprepared, no. Naive, yes. And the one thing we've said about Grubb all season is that he's been able to flip that switch at halftime, make the adjustments. I think the adjustments on this one were just pure naivety. I need to chase this game. I need to try and put points on the board rather than just trying to build the offense as it should be. Here we go. On to the 49ers. Gary, do you think the current O-line is capable of generating a consistent run game against the 49ers defense? Mitch?
No. The key word in there is the consistent. I think we can generate a competent run game against the 49ers, but how consistent it will look, bearing in mind it is free agents and rookies for the most part, and backup. I don't think I'd be surprised if we had consistency there, to be honest.
Well, I think here, Gary likes my optimism. Just don't think the talent's there on the O-line, which is exactly what you've just said, Mitch. And I agree. I think the signing of Laken Tomlinson as a veteran presence, fantastic. I don't think he is starting caliber anymore. If it was me in Mike Mack's shoes, I'd look at who I had from a youthful O-line perspective. And I think it's going to be a matter of you just need to start blooding those guys very soon. Because Tomlinson, I've pointed out multiple times, is completely ineffective. When he gets to that second level, if he needs to, he looks lost. He gets put in a spin cycle from some of these younger, better players. And I think it affects Connor Williams' ability to play as well. Because let's face it, he's an elite centre in this league, but he's not been shining as an elite centre because he's having to cover multiple assignments, trying to cover multiple gaps, because he's probably looking to his left and going, oh God, Laken's against Sexy Dexy. That's a double team there, which is then going to free someone else up in the middle, which should have been his assignment. And then he's looking to his right and going to Bradford and going, oh, it's a pass play. It's not his forte, pass pro. So who do I help here? I just think the right tackle, Stone Forsyth, last week was the first time that I've not been impressed, surprised. I think he's actually been all right most this season when he's played. Last week, I just think he was just put in a blender. I think the O-line just needs to have that solidarity again.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Did Stone Forsyth look worse last year? Because the interior of the O-line was actually reasonably okay, and it was the tackle situation that was the clear soft spot, and people were hammering it. If you keep getting through the middle of the line, over and over, you don't need to focus on Stone Forsyth. I wonder whether there's an element of Stone Forsyth being the weakest link last year, but other players on the interior of our defense presenting equally as weak opportunity. Well, if you know what I mean. Do you take my point?
I get what you mean. So it's sort of not necessarily the blame gets shifted, but the focus gets shifted. So I think at the moment, Stone isn't being targeted as much.
Yeah,
because there's that weakness the perceived weakness in some case in the interior O-line. And let's face it, it's the guard position at the moment. Centre, I think we're fine. Left tackle, Cross has been fantastic. I think Stone has held his own, but if they start focusing on him, we may see it may be a different story. As Lauren put in the chat, Jason Peters isn't the answer. But again, I think that's one of those where you bring in that veteran presence to help coach up these guys, because he can play multiple positions along that line. Granted, he's older than me. He's 41, 42. But they're going to hope that they get a player coaching him, which I think is what they really should have hoped for with Laken Tomlinson as well. But they've thrust him into that starting lineup, which baffles me. So I don't think the current O-line is capable of generating consistent run, but I think we'll give it a go. It might be a lot of outside runs and Ken Walker trying to create magic. Who's next? Oh, this is Gary. With the injuries on defense and not being able to stop the run the last two games, can the defense stop the 49ers running the ball?
Probably not. I just don't know what to expect. I genuinely don't know what to expect. So yes, okay. So can we stop it? Yes. Will we stop it? Just don't know. And we've seen two different defenses this year. We've seen one that gives nothing, and we've seen one that leaks everything. If you're a tight end or a running back and you play for New England, you're going to have a day. If you're Devon Achan, you're going to get shut down. What on earth happened there? Like that? Who calls it that way?
It's baffling. Can I just say as well, I'm going to put it out there now, bend and don't break. If anyone uses that as a catchphrase for coaching or anything, I just want to point out that anything, if you bend it enough, it breaks. there's no way. Do you see what I mean, Mitch? So they're going like, bend, but
I
don't
do.
break.
I just really want to find an example to prove you wrong. Just thinking.
Think shatterproof ruler. You can bend them, but they break in the end, don't they? It's the same as anything. Like tensile strength of anything. In a sporting term, you can say, yeah, bend but don't break. We'll give you 80 yards, but we won't give you a touchdown. I'm sorry. If you're going to give someone 80 yards on a drive every single time, you're going to break because they will wear you down. So, yeah, I just hope that we can stop them. We can get some 3 and outs. I'd love to see what defensive line we have fit and who's going to be playing on these edges and what they're going to do. I'm hoping Mike Mack's done a lot of study. Let's rock it through the last one. Gino has one of the lowest times to throw in the NFL from True Drew Sport. Is it just a reaction due to the bad offensive line, or do you think it's processing the field that fast? I think we addressed it before. I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. But yeah, I don't think we need to all rehash that. But yeah, that's I think that is it for the Discord member musings. Thank you very much,
everyone, for the questions.
Yeah, and everyone in the chat, I'm sorry we've not been able to get to your comments like usual. If you are new to watching us, you will know that we are very hot on. We don't ask for super thanks or super likes or anything. That's not what we're here for, which is quite evident by the fact that we support a charity on our pod. My 40th birthday just gone. I did a fundraiser rather than getting beers from my friends, so that's £215 gone to the charity already. And anything you guys give to them directly, fantastic. Anything that you guys buy from Wraith using our discount code, anything that comes to us, 25% of that goes instantly to the Robbing Cancer Trust. We are quite steadfast in this and wanting to, grow our community and help where we can. With that, make sure you check out the big balls we run. If you can do 10k, 20k, 50k, whatever you want to sign up, £20 for the UK, 26 for a European entry, or 28 for anyone outside worldwide. You can walk it, you can run it, just do it. And I think that's in November as well. Plenty of time. So if you're not fit enough yet, get your walking shoes on. If you're working from home, get out on your lunch break. I should probably start doing that as well. And let's get doing that. I mean, from me, I want to say thank you to everyone. I want to say, don't forget, like, subscribe, tell your friends. If you want to speak to any of us outside of this podcast, join our Discord. It's a fantastic growing community, and I am looking forward to watching tonight through very bleary, tired eyes. Mitch, anything you'd like to say?
No, just thank you for all the comments, guys. A really nice interactive podcast again, as you always deliver. So thanks to everyone who's contributed.
Yeah. Also, I love the little love in between Gary and Lauren in the chat, talking about being Seahawks fans forever. Yes, we are, through thick and thin. With that being said, let's temper our expectations. Let's just follow this team and wait for the growth. I think, Mitch, that should be time, because you and I need to get off to Beddy Buys. I need my beauty sleep more than you.
Debatable.
You can cover it with a beard, I can't.
True.
Yeah. But with that, I'd like to end on a Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
See you next time, guys.